Turns into a goblin. Hello, and welcome to another episode of WritersBored. We are a group of incompetent, bored fellas who like telling stories. Absolutely nothing qualifies us to talk about anything, but here we are doing it. Personally, my name is Lucas Edwards. Don't know about these guys, but I'm named Lucas. I enjoy dabbling in the Shakespearean craft of literature, and I like to write, some short stories in my free time. So that's kind of the segue into this. Over to my right, we have the illustrious
Elijah Edwards. I dabble in the YouTube specialty, putting together short films, all that jazz. I get deep down in the analytics, get down and dirty in them statistics, them stats, the graphs, man. I tell you what. And yeah.
Nice. Okay, so
into my northbound. What were you gonna say?
Well, that's east. That's east.
Is that east?
Yeah.
But my north.
His north is
Well,
subjective.
actually, if you really look at the clock in the sky, it's north. Okay.
No, I thought
Which is what I said.
I thought north was this way.
No, yeah.
Because if I'm
definitely
holding
up.
a map up, right?
Holy crap!
Actually, I think you're. Wow.
You're on
I
this.
never really thought about that.
You're a smart fella.
Well,
I'm a fart smoke.
I was
getting
about
back to
say that, bro.
introductions here. Yes, I'm Pearson Edwards.
All right, he got the line. We were worried if he was going to be able to get that out, but
And much like them, I am a storyteller. So, and artist. So
artiste.
We're just gonna lay down fat and thick. Okay.
What are
we talking about?
Yeah, wait. I think the topic.
Thick and
Is there a black couch?
strong. Okay.
Oh, okay. Anyhow, moving on. I'll give you a little quick explanation of what the podcast is, in case this isn't, or in case this is your first episode, I guess. So we like creating bad stories, generally, and so we figured why not invite some other people to kind of make some weird stories with us. So it's kind of like a big deranged writing room, the idea behind it somewhat. And so
Somewhat big.
premise is we'll take literally any of your ideas, small, anything from a character to a plot line to like a mashup, and anything that you come up with, like on your commute to work or when you're walking your dog, just whatever. We'll take those little nuggets of ideas, and then we'll kind of mash them together, and we'll have a little random table here that's a number generator thing, and we'll randomly use all those to make a story, right?
Yeah.
And later, hopefully, maybe we'll make some of these stories into like some shorts or something. We're thinking about that, but
We'll
who
take
knows?
like the best ones that we think are doable. Because some of these stories are like, dude, we're gonna need like high budget $1 million.
Sometimes-
Yeah, we're gonna need period piece costumes and swords.
We need to rent a castle.
We need somebody's castle.
Yeah,
Yeah. So outlandish things.
yeah,
But stories nonetheless.
exactly. Yeah. So, anyhow, we'll leave like the links and stuff for you to submit in the description of this video or wherever, or on the screen, whatever. And so, with that, any other notes?
Yeah, our email to submit any like ideas and all that, our email is mindwipesubmissions@gmail.com. Send all your goodie ideas in there. And we also have a Reddit page. We're building a beautimous community there. We're trying to. It's r/WritersBoard.
We're gonna go ahead and go into writer's prompts. So right now we have a table full of like numbered prompts, and we'll use a number generator to just pick out what the prompt is going to be. But hopefully in the future, that table will be filled with your guys' submissions, or whoever's the one dude who is watching this.
Our homie out there.
Our homie out
giving
there.
us
Hey, thanks, buddy.
gold.
Or Homet.
That's hey. Yes. So anyhow, I'll go ahead and let's see what our prompt is real quick. Drum roll, please. All right. So the prompt is this, written by Pearson.
Oh.
A person is seen walking down an alley listening to their favorite music until suddenly they remember something.
Oh my gosh.
Listening to Jizz Bop.
He's listening to Jizz Bop. In case you weren't
That's
aware,
so vague.
the bands in Star Wars are called Jizz bands. Just as a little nugget of information for your future trivia. So yes, that is the the prompt. I'm gonna try not to cough into the mic as much as possible,
I'd appreciate that.
but no promises. No promises at all. All right, so that is our prompt. Person walking down an alley listening to music, and then they suddenly remember something. So it's pretty vague, which is kind of nice.
Could we do something crazy this episode? What if we get 2 prompts and mash them together?
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
my goodness.
Do we want? All right. So we'll pick another prompt and like.
Yeah, we could try to do that.
Okay.
What do y'all think about that?
Let's
Let's
try it.
do it.
Let's try it out. All right. So.
So crazy, it just might
It's
work.
so
It just
crazy.
might work.
It just might work.
I'm really curious.
Number generator messed up. Our first prompt, we're doing, like
Hey,
you said,
could you pass me my
something a little
water
different.
over there?
Mashing it up. So,
Thanks, bro.
a person is seen walking down an alley listening to their favorite music until they suddenly remember something. And the prompt we got, number, was written by Elijah over here.
Uh-oh, it's going to be garbage.
I don't know. I like it. Every night, little James dreams of the future, and one night he dreams of his family's death.
Oh,
man.
shoot.
That's pretty good. I like that. All right. So,
Whoa.
Whoa.
So, say it again.
every night, little James, so I'm assuming it's a child, little James dreams of the future, and one night dreams of his family's death. So, all right, let's first. So now we're gonna pick some genres and subgenres.
That was good.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Thank you.
That's really
Yeah.
good. I like that a lot. All right, so we're
It's
gonna
like a
pick
one
from.
sentence
Yeah, it's really simple. and sweet.
story almost.
There it
Like
is.
this 1 second horror stories.
All right, so pick our subgenre here. We have a drama, very convenient. Well, I guess it could. Oh, my ears! It could also be horror. That would be fit. It'd be tough if we got comedy, but we got drama. All right, now we're gonna do
Drama.
for
Pretty,
the
it could be pretty vague.
yes. We're gonna do subgenre now, and that is one out of 33 different subgenres we kind of found off the internet. 17 is our number here. It is a dystopian. This RNG is going on pretty good.
Dystopian drama
Yes.
about a boy who can see the future.
Yes. So
His parents'
let
future.
me write all this down. We did drama. We did dystopian. All right. Now we do one more sub genre. So we'll roll on that one. All right. Number 10, a conspiracy.
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm pretty excited about this
Mystery,
one.
conspiracy.
All right. So, all right. This is looking pretty spicy. All right. Elijah, if you want to
Let me
hit
do
some
the
bullet points. Yes, sir. All right. So,
He's got a new little system now.
Yeah,
yeah.
how do I...
oh, yeah.
Just
I
take a
guess,
deep breath and just yank it out.
we're
think I
going to
can.
cut past this little
And
awful.
oh,
Bada bing, it's on the board
Whoa.
now.
Whoa,
I'm
look
sitting
at
in a new
us.
chair.
New chair. We've got an empty board.
And
All
our
right.
the board's filled up.
Yeah, it's just completely done.
We already just went through this.
Yeah. So, I'll go ahead and read the prompts. So, we got 2 prompts here. A person is seen walking down an alley listening to their favorite music, insert music here, until suddenly they remember something. Every night, little James, this separate thing, sorry. Every night, little James dreams of the future, and one night dreams of his family's death. So, instinctually, I'll tell you what my first thoughts. We'll go around and just get everybody's first thoughts. Don't change with your first thoughts. Like, don't I'm just saying, just like don't change your mind based off someone else's.
Okay,
Everyone's
okay, I got
first
you.
instinct. Okay.
I got it written down in my brain.
All right. So my first instinct is this: a person doesn't mean that gives us a lot of range. The little James insinuates this has to be a kid. So I'm thinking that a person means that it's just maybe the kid's father. Maybe the kid says these dreams often, right? And the dad either isn't aware or is like, he's like pushes the kid's dreams to be like, oh, they're just kids' dreams, right? Then he's walking to work or something one day, going through an alley, that he makes a connection between like, oh, wait a minute, my son dreamed of that thing, and then now he dreamed that, like, he makes like some sort of small connection, like, wait a minute, the son referenced a potted plant. He's referenced a potted plant that that's in our house. How did he know I just got that before? He was like, he makes some sort of weird mental remembering of like the dream that his son had, and then he's like, wait, and then he makes a connection there and like runs back to the house and then whatever, something like that. But that's the relationship between the two prompts, I guess, is what my first instinct is. Pearson, what you got?
I wasn't prepared.
Okay, Elijah.
All right. So my thing was like, it's kind of like yours. Our man, little Jimmy, it's the kid though. He's walking through the alley, and maybe he's just like put it off. Like, no. Well, okay. So we show instances of his past dreams, and then like little minor things happening. It's like, oh my gosh, my dreams tell the future. This person would yell inside the McDonald's like these exact words, like little things like that. It's like, oh my gosh, these dreams are real. And then maybe it's not enough dreams to be like, oh, is this every single dream I have is foretelling the future? So he's walking through the alley and his parents died in his last dream, but then he sees that connection and he's like, oh snap, do I believe this? Are my dreams actually foretelling the future every time? Or is this just like another hoax? But then he's like, all right, well, I'm determined to go about this as if it is foretelling the future. And he goes through like this mission or whatever the heck. Puzzle.
Yeah. So little like James is the protagonist.
He doesn't. He's not sure
but
if the truth or like what he sees is
yeah
actually going to happen, or if it might not happen.
Yeah, he's not sure.
Yeah,
but he's gonna go about it as if it is gonna happen. But I really like the dad. Like he heard about Jimmy telling it, and he like doesn't believe him. He's like, yeah, whatever, kid. It's just a dream. Dreams,
the Sox
never
are gonna win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like something like that.
Crazy.
Like, okay, whatever, son. All right, it's just a dream.
That's true. You make a good point. Sorry to cut you off, but like, and when I was thinking, I was like, okay, the dad makes the realization that the son's dreams are real when the son has the dream about the parents dying. But maybe it's just that the dad makes a realization that his son's dreams are true. Necessarily not that his family's gonna die yet, if that makes sense. Because I was thinking of like, I don't know. I was kind of conflicted of like, okay, how do you make the realization? And then he like, I don't know, but I kind of like the idea of like maybe he's walking the alley, then he makes a connection like, wait a minute, maybe he's listening to the music or something happens in the alley maybe that's like, wait, my son said that this was gonna happen. Like the son was like, yeah, in my dream in the alley, some guy in a red sweater tripped and fell into a puddle or something like that. And he's like, oh yeah, whatever. And he's walking the alley, and then that exact thing happened. He goes, wait a minute. He's like takes off his headphones, and then he's like goes back to his son, and then maybe we have a little bit of a development of like, maybe the dad's not handling how his son's, prophetic powers are, of being like, okay, well, who's going to win the Red Sox game, right, son? And he's like, I don't know, Dad, my dreams don't work. And he's like, why not? Maybe there's like a little bit of like a kind of turmoil between the dad having this now power. It's like the whole thing of like realizing that your child is special and like the parents
trying to use it.
Yeah, the parents who are like, there's some parents who abuse it and some parents that just like, nurture it in a nice way. So it's kind of a development maybe of like, the arc could be if you wanted to focus on the dad or because like you said, yours was a little bit more focused on the son. So in my mind, the dad, if we focus on the dad kind of being like his arc of the dad, maybe accepting this is like not something that he can, or like maybe his path of like being more, maybe it is like the fact that the dad abuses it Then one day, the son dreams of the family's murder or something like that. I don't know.
Oh snap! This is serious. Like,
Yeah. Or I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of like kind of the development of maybe the dad or.
What if instead of this kid having dreams, he has he'll like have a vision and like draw it out on like a child's drawing where he draws like a scenario that's happening.
Okay. I like that a lot.
Like he's like, oh, this, like he draws something and he shows his dad. He's like, oh, look, what did you draw this time? He's like, oh, it's some guy tripping in a puddle.
Yeah. Dude, that'd be so cool to have like all of his drawings in the fridge, and then when the dad comes back from the alley and like he's like looking at all the and like making all the connections. He's like, wait a minute. He's like flashing back to like different moments.
It's like a straight up comic.
Yeah. But I think you said like, what if he's not having dreams? I do think that because the prompt says, he dreams every night or every night.
Dreams can be happening during the day. You're daydreaming.
Well, I mean, that's fair. But I was thinking also it could just be like the son dreams it. Then, later at school is like, I'm going to draw my dream. Like it could still be his dream. He's just, it's almost like a dream journal or something like after that. He just, that what we keep with the prompt and we don't like try to.
I dig it.
Okay.
I really like, I can imagine
cool,
where he's like sitting there.
Yeah.
And then he looks up and it's the whole like,
the whole,
it's all on the fridge. Yeah, that's great.
All right. So remember this. All right. So let's keep in mind, we still have some subgenres to attend
to.
to.
I was also going to bring those up about what I first thought of when I heard the prompts.
Mm-hmm.
And, conspiracy, drama, dystopian. Dystopian meaning
dystopian meaning like
it's a not like Mad Max, but like
no, it just means that like I was looking at the exact definition just to make sure like what the wording was, but the exact definition is relating to or denoting an imagined state or society where there is great suffering or injustice. So it's just like a future. It doesn't have to be like super
it's
far
like
in the future. Just a world
like Mice of Men. If you've ever seen that, where it's like
yeah,
people can't have kids or something. It's like weird, like everything seems like a slummy kind of
like
dystopian.
Dystopia could be current times. It's just it's just a time that is like generally people are not doing well. That's like utopia, dystopia.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was like, what if the dreams are like implanted by somebody and it's like some sort of techno maybe goggles or like an implant of sorts into this kid, and they're like testing it, or because you gotta have like this conspiracy of this government that's controlling kids.
Well, and, I think
trying to figure out the future through children.
No, well, that's a good point, but I think I know in my mind I kind of like the idea of a more like localized story of like this family, right? But I do think you can pull in some government stuff for the dystopia factor. But I think that the conspiracy, I mean, in my mind, where my first head went when you have a family dying is the conspiracy to kill the family, right? And it could be something like maybe the kid goes to school and the teacher, they go to like an very heavily institutionalized school, right? And then maybe the kid draws something and the teacher, maybe, I don't know, someone gets a clue that something's going on and the government has a conspiracy to kill the parents and then take the child into like, their custody.
Yeah.
That's kind of where mine went with trying to connect the genres.
Yeah, because then the government could be like, oh, we could use this kid as like a potential weapon.
Yes.
Like, oh, he can foretell the future. Oh, it's great.
And I mean, and in dystopia, the government would do something like kill the parents. Like the fact that the government is going to kill the parents to take a child that is powerful is fact of a dystopia. Like that is already established as that.
I'm digging on that.
I love that.
I'm not trying to like retake.
No, I'm. It's like all
congealing.
It's like a piece of clay, and it's being mushed
until it's like Ghost. I'm wrapping my hands around you, and
it's being formed and set and centered.
All right. Well, you want to get some bullet points down. We'll maybe write out. So our I think main character is the father.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So we can do main
Or
character.
maybe it's like a split.
Well, yeah, the kid is like with it, but I think we're following the point of view mainly of the father. Like if we were following mainly the kid, I think we would figure out the kid that tells the future.
But what if
instantly.
that's not like a part of the? It's not meant to be like a aha at the end, like, oh, he can tell the future.
Well, no,
Like, what if that's at the beginning? That is like established from the start,
Well, I think the problem.
and then you have all these other interlacking
I don't know if it's
things.
established at the start, but like I think we can make the realization that the kid is telling the future, maybe just shortly before the father. But I do think that there shouldn't be just like we instantly know that, because I don't know. For me, it would be kind of frustrating looking at the dad and being like, how do you not realizing this?
Well, it could be part of the plot is the figuring out how to keep his parents from being killed by this government, right?
Well, I guess in that sense, we got to determine the age of Jimmy, because little Jimmy insinuates to me someone under like 12, like
Yeah.
little Jimmy.
Like
Yeah.
it's also the father trying to figure it out too.
Yeah,
because
I
like
see
if
what
he
you're saying.
figures
I
it
see what
out,
you're
then
saying.
he's like,
I see.
I'm going to be killed by this government.
Yes.
Like, how do you stop that? How do you?
That's a good point.
It's not like, oh, they're
Yeah.
just dead, and then
That's
you're like,
good.
oh, that's what the future was, and that's what happened.
no, and that's not what I was
Yeah.
thinking either. But I do think because I was trying, didn't really have like the plot line
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
But I think the plot being the dad making that realization early into the story, and then we're watching that father try to kind of handle the knowledge of knowing that your family's going to die unless something happens,
Yeah.
and then the conflict of knowing that you're fighting against the government that is so totalitarian in your world, right? So it's like he's trying to navigate, get away from the government, while also dealing with the fact that he knows his sons can tell the future, also knowing that his family's going to die unless he does something.
Yeah.
Or maybe even if he is going to do something, maybe maybe it's like the thing of like things happen regardless. Because maybe he asks the kid like, "Has anything in your dreams never not come true?" And he's like, maybe the kid's like, "I don't know." So it's
Or
like,
maybe it's like a thing where, he draws a red cup in his dream, but like the cup ends up being a blue cup, kind of where it's like it's represented. He thinks it's represented one way, and it turns out to be like something similar, but not the exact.
well, it could be something like
Like a cup is kind of a really. I'm thinking more of a deeper plot than that. That's just kind of the analogy I'm thinking of.
okay, yeah. I was like a homonym, and I was trying to think of making sure I was saying it right, but
Can you change what's already been written in time?
boom, a
Or is it
homonym.
always bound to happen?
Dun-dun-dun.
You cannot defeat time.
Classic future time travel question. But you were talking about the misinterpretation. A homonym is like a word that means the same thing but spelt this, or it means two different things but it's spelt the same way. So for instance, things like real and real, were like you're reeling in
yeah.
something, or then
Oh,
something
yeah.
is real and factual, or rights, or then rights, and then rights.
Or yeah,
Yeah, so like it could be something like that, where like I don't know. Yeah,
like that's how it's not. That's how we show that he's not 100% all the time.
Yeah, I like that. That's smart. That's smart. So we got father, kid, government as the main kind of characters, I guess we'd say, in the story. The government being its own kind of person. What else we got here?
Kids' drawings from dreams foretell the future. So like maybe he's in class, like elementary school, he's just doodling. And it's like some of the most like, why would this kid be drawing like a dude falling into a puddle? Like, oh, what? Who just draws that? And it's like, well, it's his dream. And then maybe using that as like the dad sees that in the alley. to make that connection when he sees it like on the fridge. And then the government wants to use the kid and kill anyone that comes in their way, which includes the family. And the kid has a dream of the family dying. And so the father and the kid must work to change that future.
Oh.
The only kind of plot hole that I see in what we have in the moment is if you have a government that is like, a dystopian government, why wouldn't the government just take the kid through like some sort of like DHS means of like, claiming maybe they try that and it doesn't work, and I guess in my mind, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, if you're this kind of dystopian government, like I feel like you wouldn't care about the politics of it. You'll just like go and do it. Like they'll pull the family out into the street.
That's a fair point.
Like,
That's a good point.
Throw them in a truck.
Yeah.
And they're gone and never come back.
Like in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's a good point. Yeah. All right. And then, I think all we got right now is pretty solid.
And then what were y'all talking about? Like a cup or like it's
So
a detail that can be taken.
Like whenever he has a vision and like the trip scenario, he sees somebody trip and fall, but maybe instead of like he draws a dude, but instead he sees a woman fall and trip.
Yeah,
It's something like that where it's like
it can be.
It's kind of the way he sees it is sometimes different than how it ends up being. So that way, like he still kind of sees the future, but it's like
like maybe some details, like
yeah.
When he sees his family getting killed, maybe he sees like only his mom get killed. But then when the time comes, like his dad's in that spot.
Oh yeah. You do something like that.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, she's safe, and then it's happening to him or something.
Yeah, because he thought she was safe, and like because he knows the information now, like the future's changed, and now he's in that spot.
Like the moment he realized what was going to happen, like
that changed like his attitude towards stuff.
Yeah, it could be something like that. Time is a fickle thing.
The space-time continuum.
The space-time.
I'm thinking like my whole thought process is like that movie, Steven Spielberg's movie with Tom Cruise, where he's
in it's like the detective movie
where the people in
they
the
could
police
see future crimes.
Minority Report?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I was like, I'm not sure this is where it's going, but
yeah. And then what?
That.
Not to spoil, but like the ending of the movie.
Wait a minute, hold up. We can't tell the ending of the movie.
Right.
I've never seen the movie.
Have you not seen it?
Okay. Well, no mind.
Well, like the premise is, was it like
they like get the ball and
they
it's
have like an oracle or something.
Yeah,
like they can see into the future, see future.
Like this
crimes.
person's gonna die.
Like this guy's gonna commit
this is how
crime, so
die.
let's go arrest him before he does it.
Yeah.
So
what you got, Lucas?
Well, no, because that's a little bit too much just ripping off Minority Report. Because I was gonna be like, what if the government harvests prophetic
the
people?
Kid.
Like no other, like there are people that exist in society that have this kind of like future, and they use that for that exact purpose. Of Minority Report.
I guess we're just making Minority
I was like,
Report.
I think we're just making a side story in the world of Minority Report.
Like a precursor, before they get this.
A prequel to the Minority Report.
Prequel.
So we won't do that. We'll just say the government wants them. There's not,
It could be like the school system or something because
school system wants him.
I don't know,
dude. If my elementary school puts a hit on my parents, I would be.
Yeah.
So good.
All right, so let's I think do a little our classic bubbles.
Bubble time.
Bubble time. To
what are we bubbling?
Well, he's like,
what's our first bubble?
So I think
so. Like how I guess it's gonna
we'll go
start
left from right, and we'll just kind of go bubble our way across and do like a timeline of the sequence of events. Because right now we have a lot of like ideas, but they're not really placed in
we
time.
See.
So I think the starting opening of this, I think.
Oh, we're seeing the title cards we're seeing close-ups of paper and a crown being drawn across, and it's like fading in and out of text of directed by, written by. It's like and it's the crown, it's crying across the paper, and then the title. I don't know the title.
Like
We
the
figure out
kid
the-
has written the title, and it's like, you know,
Oh, it's
kid
in the
scratch.
crown, and then we zoom out. It's the title.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Dang, bro.
All right, so that's how it opens. Okay.
All right, so that's the opening
Now
credit
scene
scene.
one.
Now, what's the first scene here?
The actual scene.
Man, well, I guess it's a question of, like you said, when do we want the dad and the mom? We haven't really talked about.
Oh, the mom's sitting there. She's cleaning the dishes. And then
Whoa,
she gets
man! You assume that the mom is cleaning the dishes?
Yeah, in the dystopian world, you
Maybe
gotta
she's
do
doing
the
some
dishes
dystopian work, like outside. You know what I'm saying?
like a mine. The mine.
Their backyard mine.
They have a little mine shaft in the back.
Well, in my mind, they're in like a you know,
In your mind?
in my mind,
Your
in my
mind?
mind, in my mind's mind, I picture like them in like a small studio apartment or something like that. You know, like in or it could be something like, you know, what's that movie or the book? Oh no,
Yeah, I know that one. Oh,
The
Area
movie-
50.
the movie starts off in black and white. Then they all get emotions and it goes to
Oh
color.
yeah,
It's
with
like-
Tobey Maguire in it.
No,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not
the
what-
yeah,
one.
that's it.
no, it's not.
Wait, no, you're talking about the. Okay, so it
It's
starts
the-
off
it's
in
called
black
The
and white.
Giver.
Oh,
Right?
oh yeah, The Giver.
Yes. A young adult dystopian novel. In the movie, they express it like that, black and white. Anyhow, in the Giver,
Me and Pearson were totally thinking of like
yeah,
another movie.
I know what movie. I've seen images from that movie. I haven't seen the movie you're talking about, but anyhow,
Get sucked into the TV or something like
for the
that.
housing, like in the Giver, it's very much like, you know, everyone's got like the same little house.
It's like a bunker thing.
like, well, it's not like a bunker. It's like they're nice houses.
It's like weird liminal space.
It's like, yes, very
Kind
very
of
minimalist, like very kind of strange. Like the fact that it's not dystopian where like everyone's suffering. Like for instance, okay, so this is we'll put an image
They're
on the
suffering
screen
under.
but like that's like the houses, right?
Oh yeah,
And then the interior, if I can get an image of the interior.
heck yeah.
Here, person. It's like, you know, like these all little
Oh yeah.
little strange symmetric houses.
Oh, I was thinking like they're huddled around like a stovetop, keep warm. You know, they come
Like
outside.
the
They
Cinderella Man.
Bro, that was just the
Great
Great
Depression.
Depression. I guess that was a
That's
dystopian
real life, man.
at the time.
That was that. I mean,
What?
okay, so like this is like the interior of like the
Oh, yeah,
house.
Yeah, it's like
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Like
I like that.
nice, but
I
you know.
like that.
So you know,
Well, we could shoot. I'm almost like, where do we start? Like, what would help if like we start building it from that point of
back
he
to
makes the
first.
connection? Like,
We start with the future and work backwards.
no.
We play the whole film in reverse. Okay.
oh my
So
god,
the last scene is first, and then the second to last scene is second.
memento, man.
I think you.
Yeah.
I think you get to start off with the kid. Is that it's before school, right? There, it's the classic bustling about the house of people getting ready to go to work, the wife getting ready to do whatever. She's getting the kids ready for school, or little Jimmy ready for school, and little Jimmy is drawing on next to his orange juice and food. Like he's
Oh,
drawing
yeah.
when he
What are you
wakes
drawing,
up. He just
honey?
wakes up, and it's just a classic. You don't think anything of it. She's, oh, what you drawing there? He's like, oh, well, you know, I'm drawing.
It's a dead cat.
Is you know,
Maybe it's something that happens on the bus,
so we know instantly, right? Something like that.
or maybe
The bus gets a flat tire. He's drawing a
holy
bus
crap,
that has,
bro.
Yes,
has no
that's
tire
good.
on it.
That's good. A bus with missing. She's like, oh, you left out a tire. He's like, no, this is how it's supposed to look.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, whatever. And then the dad leaves. He goes out the door. We're not focusing on him. We're focusing on Jimmy at the beginning, I think. The dad goes he goes to work. We see him drive off. He's like, bye. And then we follow Jimmy. He's on the bus. And we're sitting in the bus with all the kids.
He's having an interaction with the kids or... I don't know, maybe a bully or something.
Yeah, exactly. The classic.
Like we're distracted.
Yes.
To the point where
people are throwing stuff. He gets hit in the head.
When the bus happens, it's like just a.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I got to get out. We don't see her like get out, but like we don't see what she sees, but maybe she like gets out.
Maybe it's like the kids are still like roughing around, and like we just kind of see in the background the bus driver stop the bus, get out. He like airs up the tire, and they're all still goofing around. Mm-hmm. You just see it all in the background. And then he starts up the bus again. They're like, oh, sorry, I had to like air up the tire, busted.
Yeah. So my question, I guess, about his powers, right, his dreams, is he seeing it from like things that would happen? Oh, it's not. I guess it's not things that wouldn't happen in his future, just things in the general future. Because I was thinking like, okay, well, would the perspective that he has when the bus gets deflated be what he'd be drawing, or if it would just be like what happens? But I think you're right, because if we were doing the thing with the alley, then he wouldn't be there at the alley.
Yeah, He's like, it's like if you were imagining things and you're trying to draw what you imagine. So like a kid usually draws like really flat. It's not going to be like a perspective and like an image of what he's seeing. It's like what he is imagining.
That makes sense.
So like when they draw like, oh, family holding hands, they're just like,
maybe
in a line.
Maybe our Jimmy's imagining a family out there holding hands or something. It's like,
okay.
I think my mic keeps like slowly falling down.
It's almost like, what if all these kids' drawings were like things that were actually happening somewhere? Like, oh, this house, or like this dog, and this family in this house. It's like, oh, that's actually out there. It's like it's from his imagination. So maybe it's just
that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Anyone's future.
All I know is all the times that I drew stick figure men just killing each other with weapons.
That really happened.
That was happening somewhere.
Somewhere in the world.
Somewhere in the world. Okay, so the bus tire goes out, and I think you're right. We're focusing on maybe like Jimmy's talking to someone that he's sitting with, or maybe he's not. Whatever his introvert or maybe whatever his personality we think he should have. Bully stuff, like you said, chaotic things are happening on the bus, and our attention isn't focused. But we notice the maybe in the background we the bus driver gets back on the thing. She puts up her hand. She's like, I don't have a spare tire here, and so that way because he drew it without a tire, right? So maybe that's the thing of like not just deflated. So she's like, I don't have a spare tire here. Can you drive someone down here? I've got a bus full of kids, right? And it's just like in the background. And then someone goes up the bus gets rolling again, right? Yeah. And we don't think anything of it. Then we cut from that to the dad at work or something like that. And maybe we kind of do some time to develop who he is, what his work environment. Maybe he works for the government. Maybe he's...
something that would help kickstart the government, just like...
being interested in it.
We're going to have to take these people out.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't it from him going to school, and the school was informing the government?
Well, that was an idea. It doesn't necessarily have to be what we do, but that's what we had at the moment.
Or it's like the government doesn't have to kill them. It's just like they just have to die somehow. And it's just like the government in this area.
It's the conspiracy, right?
Oh,
so we got to have some sort of plotting.
Conspiracy.
Or someone gets like word that, hey, this kid, like someone else outside the family is like, wait, this kid can actually tell the future.
Yeah.
And like telling all the friends and stuff.
Well, I think that like the first person to do that, the person who would, I keep saying P and it keeps popping. I think the person,
it's not as bad as you think.
I think the individual who would realize this connection would, I feel like, obviously be the teacher. Like that's like you're making drawings in school. And the teacher is, if she's a good one, is like,
that's one other person that's always around.
Yes, she's the person who's probably around the kid as much as the parent in those early years, right? So it's like maybe even more so. So I think the teacher finds out. Now, whether or not the teacher maybe talks to somebody and they talk to somebody, and I don't know if word gets out, or maybe because it's dystopian, like you said, the teacher then is like, what if, been reading a lot of Warhammer 40,000 for anyone who's interested. But what if it's a thing of like in this dystopia, there's like some sort of stigma of like, you know, not necessarily has to be witchcraft, but like something like that where the lady is like, this child is, you know, on the we do not like list of the government, and she's like, I must report this child.
They're special.
Yeah,
they're different.
Yeah. So, but that's also a little bit too stereotypical. I feel like there's so many. I feel like there's a lot of movies where it's like, you know, the government has a, you know, this special child. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to.
Yeah.
So maybe I mean,
Stranger Things.
I know it's so hard not to do something that like 1,000 other people have also done. You know, it could be something like the teacher then sees it. Well, I don't know.
The teacher can. It's like, what does conspire mean? Like the teacher conspires with the parents. Like, oh yeah, your child's you need to like get something, or like set him straight, or like check him out.
All right. All a conspiracy means is to make secret plans jointly to commit an unlawful or harmful act. So, it also means it says events or circumstances seem to be working together to bring out a particular result, typically to someone's detriment. So,
you could do a lot of different things with that.
Exactly. It's pretty vague. But I think all right, let's leave the teacher for a second. We'll come back to it. All right, so write the bus stuff. I think after the bus we switch to the dad. How do you feel about that? Or do you guys want to go to the mom? I think the focus should switch to a different character. Right? And I think if we're trying to establish the character of the government and the father, I think the quickest way you do that is by having the dad work for the government.
Yeah, I think so. It's just a way to get him like direct to line.
All right, tell me if this has happened in another movie before. So I'm all right.
Probably.
All right. So the idea is the dad goes to work and he works for like the secret police, like whatever this government's secret version of this is. Like maybe it's not they're all hunting down special children, whatever, but it's just like he works for that division of the police force that you know, is responsible for taking care of insurrectionists and people who disagree with the government. Like he's in that camp, right? And then that's his job. So we kind of see a little bit of how the government functions by switching to him at work. What maybe he does that to like he leads a raid on someone's house and you realize like, oh, it's just like a family of 4, but they're like, you know, they were pushing flyers about you know, civil rights or something, and so the government comes in the middle of the night and gets them out.
The secret police.
And it could be something like, you know, whenever the son does have the dream, the way he makes a connection with the government's going to do it is because, like, he recognizes, like, the van or something, or in the background, like, that's the van we use, or whatever, something like that, where it's like, that could be an idea to try to tie it in the dream with the government.
Oh, snap, yeah.
But, you know, I don't know. Because it's like the classic idea of, the classic idea. I feel like idea that, or is the snake eating its own tail. You know, it's like thing where it's like you doing your acts, like it's going to like it's going to come back and bite you. Yeah, like that. Yeah. You know, a system like that. There's no way to not to always be perfect and never get in the. And so like that's the father's now running to the issue like where okay, now I am the target of my own, of the own institution that I've supported.
There's this movie, Logan's Run, where this guy, he kills people that try and run away from like their society, but then he wants to run away from the society, and so he's like, oh, jeez.
Oh, no, he's the target of the thing, yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's too stereotypical. We could also just completely do the dad just works like a normal 9-to-5 job. And
well, I think going with that would make it faster to get to that point, because this being shorter, it would.
Yeah.
Because it could
That's
be.
Because I can't think of any other way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like trying to tie in the father and the government into one.
Mm.
Try to get that world building. I think, and the dad's character both established at the same time.
What if kid of the future, looking into the future thing, is not why the government's coming after him? What if it's like a different reason? Like it's not relevant. The reason why he's being killed is not relevant to his son. Right? If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I almost
And like him,
kind
the
of like
son
that.
is just like, he's drawing these pictures and things, and we're figuring out that he can see the future, and like it's ultimately the future stuff is there to help his dad not get killed.
Okay. Yeah. Elijah, how do you feel about that?
Trying to think about it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you how I feel about it while you mull over it. So, I like that a lot, not only because, but partially because, it keeps from doing things I feel like other people have done a bunch, which is that whole, unique special powered being and being
And the
hunted
government wanting them.
exactly. We avert that, and we just say that's not the story we're trying to tell. We're not trying to do that. The story is mainly, this dad trying to protect his family from a government that is, very totalitarian.
Yeah.
But the kid has to help out, and they have to like work together and like keeping the family safe and keeping the dad safe, because the job he's doing is like actively pretty much trying to kill him. I really like the idea.
I mean, yeah, because we could do something like, like I said, there's the whole thing of the first idea usually shouldn't be the one that you go with because it's like the one that everyone else thinks of. But
Yeah.
my first idea for this is that the dad, is either he witnesses something on one of his raids that isn't supposed to be seen, or it's something like maybe we could do the whole Dune path of being like he's getting too popular within the ranks, and so certain government officials are like, okay, this guy's got to go.
What if he is a mole? He's in there for some sort of rebellion or other government. He's a spy.
That I actually really like. Elijah,
Yeah.
do you have any feelings about that at the moment?
It would give them, I guess, motive
That's great because
to
I
want to kill him.
yes, I like the idea of having.
That
But it
makes
takes them a
sense.
while to
Yes.
figure it out. It's not like
I like the idea of doing like a thing where there's a certain movie that's also done, another Steven Spielberg movie that's kind of similar, but like where he is. We see these scenes where
I think wasn't that just Spy?
no, I was thinking like Schindler's List.
I'm thinking of the newer one where it's
The Bridge of Spies.
yeah, that's what it was. The Bridge of
Yeah.
Spies.
Is he undercover with that? I can't remember.
Well, it's like there's a Russian spy, right?
I think so.
And
I
they
haven't seen
they
it.
find this Russian spy, figure out it's him. They take him hostage, and then the Russians have also a hostage, and they're like trying to do a deal
That sounds
with each other.
familiar. I think
But
you're
there's
right.
like
Dang,
it's
Steven.
just about
Well,
spies.
I guess what I was thinking of is like the father who is part of the secret police, right? We see him doing these raids, and we're like, man, this guy's messed up, right? And we're seeing him do these bad things, and then later on, like at the maybe we cut back to the son for a little bit, maybe we cut to the mom, and we cut back to the dad, or maybe he's back at work or something, and you realize that he was not killing those people. He's in the position he is because when he does those raids, he sneaks them out of harm's way. Like he's like a safety barrier between those people and the thing. So maybe it's like, he takes them out in the back or something like that, or you
have to like
you hear the
get rid of him.
You hear the gunshots or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And you think that all right, he's whatever, and then later on you see him like messaging on his computer's like, did you guys get away from the house okay? And they're like, yes, we made it to the van, thank you. And he's like, all right.
Oh shoot, I like that.
And so we see that he's actually a good guy, and then that kind of kicks us into our stuff.
Yeah, we could cut to him, and then it's like trying to think what government official whatever thing, like what his job would be.
Listen, he's an inquisitor. Okay.
He's just straight up.
He's a part of the Inquisition. His name is Gregor Eisenhorn. All right.
He is just,
for the two of you that are interested in Warhammer, that's
So is it like a raid of a house?
yeah. So I think it's like they have had insider information that they are what would they call them? Not rebels, but like insurrectionists or something like that.
Spreading
heretics.
Propaganda against us.
Like we cut to him and he's driving in a company car, or not company, government car, with a passenger, and they're both wearing like the same thing, like a uniform of sorts.
Yeah.
And they're driving. I don't know. They talk about something maybe, or if it's just him just driving, and they drive to a house, and they go up to the house, and then that's when they're like, I don't know. They have some sort of paper, or they're trying to find rebel spies or something like that.
Oh, yeah, like
it's him doing what's the word? Like, I guess
he like interrogates him.
Well, yeah, it's like a
one more like hi.
like
the scene from
Inglourious.
Thank you. Yes, where he's like in the house.
Yes,
and you're like,
and then they shoot the ground.
Yeah, but like something like
they're
exactly in there,
like that.
and then they have the whole. I'd love to do an homage.
Like
to that scene.
they just
so stressful.
Yeah, I guess interrogator pretty much.
Yes.
Before they do the dirty stuff.
Well, I think they could. I mean,
so you can tell. Oh, this is what he does.
I think
for his work.
I think you have that whole like similar scenes where they're in the house. There's obviously some sort of like tension between like they're scared of this guy, and you're wondering why is they so scared of this dude who looks like he's like part of the Mormon church or something like that, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, well, thank you. Please let us know. And then he walks out. He walks around the corner and there's like two vans, and like, okay, and he calls them,
and they all come out,
and and they just raid the house, something like that.
Crap.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Because I'm also trying to think of at what point do we show that he's like a spy?
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Because he wouldn't save the family if he called in other people to do it, right?
I was assuming that you were saying like he's got the van just sitting there, and it's full of guys that are going to go in there, raid the place and kill whoever, like the bad stuff,
Yeah. Well, I think this guy is, you could do it where he's not just the only one in the entire institution. Like he could have like 4 dudes who are like other guardsmen. He's like, he raids the house. They get them all captured, right? They're in cuffs. They check the house, get all the stuff from the house, whatever. Then he's like, okay, take those 2 to the wherever.
So like he has a buddy that is part of the SWAT.
Or maybe it's like he goes back when he's walking. They get back to the van or something. He already has guys who are there, and they get them out of the house before they raid it. Like I don't know, like as far as how he keeps them from what his method is.
I mean, maybe we just show that like he's not necessarily a good guy, but he does the things he does to be able to stay and spy on these people.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's
like maybe he'll save them, but sometimes
or he gives the families like warnings before they like come to their house. But it's just like this family just didn't listen. They didn't want to leave their house. Kind of like how schools will buy out houses near the school. It's like, hey, we'll give you all this money, but they just won't leave. Maybe he's like, hey, I'm gonna give you all this warning. We're gonna come to your house. it's probably not going to be good if we see something there.
Or like, oh yeah, okay. So he's like at the door. They do all the explaining, blah blah blah, and like there's a moment where it's just him in the room, or like a guy's walked away for a second, and he's like, "I told y'all to leave. Like, what are you still doing here?" They're like, "No, we're gonna stay. We're gonna stay." You know,
Like my family have lived here for years.
and then all of a sudden the guy comes back, and it like cuts back to
Oh, heck
you know, and then that's when they get,
Oh, shit.
he's like he warned them, but they still get taken out,
They're like stubborn
arrested or
for, like,
whatever the
for
government's
pride.
gonna go take them and do, the whole secret police thing. What do you think?
Oh, heck yeah.
My only thing with that is the only thing that I'm kind of stuck on with that is I personally like the idea of confusing the audience and having them believe that he is a bad guy. Like that.
Yeah.
I think if you do that, you don't get enough information about who he works for. If we're starting off with them driving to the place, going like you don't understand at least I wouldn't understand as an audience member that these guys are thinking, okay, these guys are secret police who murder and and raid people's houses. If he walks up, goes in, then instantly is like, I told you guys to get out of here, and then they come in, they raid the house, and you'd be like, oh, this guy's just a good guy, and you would instantly understand the situation. And I like the idea of making the person think with one thing and then subverting that and tricking them afterwards and being like, oh, that isn't what happened. You just didn't know the full story.
Yeah.
Maybe on his way out, he picks up like a clue he left to tell him to leave. Or like, actually, like, get rid of the evidence that he was there like a day before or something. But like, we're shown that after the fact, like they've been put down, and maybe switch a scene and then come back and he's like destroying evidence that he was at this place. Like maybe
I think that's a good idea.
like maybe he's going back into the house like at the crime scene or something. Which I'd imagine this dystopia type society wouldn't like worry about crime scenes too much. They just go in there, job's done. All right.
Like it's enough to kill you from being if someone claims that you're this or that you're
Well,
against the government.
If it's
that's enough.
dystopian, and it could be like more futurist, so maybe he's like, he goes up to their computer and like erases the data off of it or something. Where we're like, oh, there's something he was telling them that he doesn't want people to know, and it's only him that's destroying it. And he's like, maybe a guy walks by, he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know. He's like shrugs it off.
Yeah, that's we could do it where he goes in after.
Or he's like a more higher up, so he's like, don't ask
like,
questions or
Yeah, you just
to a more subordinate.
But I like the idea of that, and I think that you could do it where we see him go in there. He maybe gives him like you could maybe communicate the fact that he knows these people in scenes like you said where they walk away, but maybe it's not so much as him being like, I told you, like maybe it's just like through eye looks or like different subliminal kind of expressions of being like maybe they start to say something and he just like gives them a look and then the guy comes back in, like something like things that are not so in your face. They go like they look at where the guy went, his partner went, and they go to say something. He just gives him a look, like, and then, or you could communicate.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, when the whole thing's done and they didn't get away, he could go back through and he's on logs and it's email. We see emails between him and them saying, "Hey, the raid is tomorrow. Get out now," and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you see him.
I mean, that's definitely like a longer way to explain that.
It's exactly what you said.
Yeah. It's like I guess like what I was saying, where he was telling them straight up, like in that moment.
I think you have to take the.
It happened.
It's just kind of like it's in the same. It just makes it like longer for that moment to happen.
Well, yeah. I mean, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I
mean,
because it's.
Yeah.
I feel like the story's not very interesting if you're just like, this is what happens. This is happening.
Yeah.
This is happening. This is, and it's like you got to have some time to build up to different. I think points in the story, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think the extra time you'd spend, total of probably 5 minutes, maybe, that you would spend on that whole sequence is worth it to establish A, the government is how bad they are, B, that he's a good guy in a very difficult situation.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a lot to explain.
Yeah.
Like that we're trying to explain in kind of a short thing.
And still make it entertaining, not just telling you what's happening.
Yeah.
So I think
it's definitely tough.
I think it's while it is maybe lengthy, I think it you guys stop opening the mic. All right, here, give me your other hand.
Opening the microphone.
There you go. It's like
Gosh.
All right, so while he writes that down, where do we go from here? So we do the whole sequence where he sees them, gives them whatever, then they go back, call in the raid. They raid, or maybe they raid the house while they're in there. The house gets raided. People are killed. Then when do we go from there? Do we go to, the guy going back home, and then the son getting back from school and talking to them, or do we cut to the son at school drawing stuff?
Oh my gosh, what if the kid drew something that happened like in that house?
I was just thinking that like we cut to him drawing and it's like literally the same.
Maybe it's just like the SWAT car that the guys come out of.
He's just drawing a bunch of cars.
Or like the
I love
house.
cars.
Yeah, you could do like, okay, we have a shot where they're walking to the house and you see what the house is, and then you cut to the son and he's drawing the exact
The
same.
same house.
Like
yeah.
the dad
red-
leaving the
red,
house.
like the red door, and then your dad, and then his dad with like a badge or something. On it. It's like you're like,
Dad at work.
yeah,
Dad
It's
at
like
work.
the same red door.
And like
Yeah.
maybe, he goes back home and his son shows him this drawing. I drew
he's
you.
like, oh, nice. And he
I drew a
doesn't think
picture of
anything.
you.
Yeah, he's like, oh, how sweet, and then he puts it on the fridge and like,
Oh
doesn't
my
go
gosh.
anything to it. Yes, yes.
The future.
Okay. Hello and welcome back. So you may have noticed that there's something strange with the angle and camera and
All the
and
cameras went
cuts.
out. Okay.
Yeah, we had 4 cameras, and of the 4 cameras, all of them went out. And now this one is the last one standing because we figured out that the room we're in, for some reason, has power to the lights, but no power to the outlets. So all the cameras died when we thought they were plugged in. So that is what we're dealing with here, and we have all the audio recording. So what we're gonna do for this episode is, I think, just do the audio. If you'd like to listen to the
we
whole
might
audio,
do the audio, or we might just release a video that's up to the point where.
Yeah.
yeah, and
Like-
then say, hey, you want to finish it? You'll have to go to
The extended
audio.
audio version.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll have to
We
do.
might recap it on the next one.
We'll maybe bullet point on the next episode, but yeah, I mean, if you might notice, the board is pretty much full from when we left off, and we left off like somewhere like there when the cameras cut out. So, and we went the whole time without realizing that.
So yeah, go on over to the extended version if you want the full story.
Yes, and we really appreciate it. Obviously, this is not ideal. Sorry, but yeah, it's just very unfortunate.
Shame us.
So it starts off, our man, little James, he's like in elementary school, about that age. He's at the house before everyone's going to work. The whole family's eating like breakfast, the huge. And man, James draws a school bus without a tire. The mom's like, James, you forgot the tires, silly. And he's like, no, I didn't, Mom. This is how I pictured it. He's like, all right, silly James.
Mama, you stupid.
But then everyone, like Dad goes to work and James goes to school and he gets on his bus. And while he's on the bus, usual
distracted.
chaos on the
Yeah.
bus.
Kids
Bullies.
throwing paper, bullies, kids
And the
crying.
tire gets deflated. And it's not like in your face. It's kind of in the background. The bus driver has to change his tire. And
Insinuating the future is being told.
and then we see the father is at work. He
He's doing a siege raid.
Well,
Of the
he's in
family.
a car with his partner. They're driving, and they pull up at a house. They get out of the house. There's a they shot of them walking into the house. They knock on the door, kind of almost like house salesman of some sorts. But maybe it was what you might be thinking. The family opens the door and they're like, "Hi," and they flash some badge, and you're like, "Oh, these guys are some sort of detectives."
We just want to ask you a few questions.
Exactly,
You know,
yes.
nothing. We don't want y'all to.
We don't want
nothing to
trouble
worry
you.
about.
Yeah. And the demeanor of the father and his partner is rather calm and pleasant, while you get the hint from the people in the house that they are panicked and afraid.
Yeah, this is a very tense situation.
Yeah, very similar to the opening of Inglorious Bastards. We're going for that type of vibe. But they go in there and they have a little bit of a scene where they're talking to each other. Some subliminal interrogation is going on, and there's this a little bit of shot where the partner goes upstairs with one of the other people to look around, and you kind of have a moment where the people of the house look like they're about to say something, and the dad gives them a look, right, like
Cut it out.
stop
Don't
it.
say anything.
Yeah, exactly. And so you don't really, maybe you're like, huh, weird, whatever. The partner comes back. They're like, oh, right. So there's nothing. They ask them something that they don't.
Like, all good here.
Yeah, I'll get here. Have a lovely day. And they go back outside, and the shot of kind of a wide shot of their house.
Yeah, of the house, and then you see like a SWAT van almost, and all these guys with heavy armor and like guns going, and you can assume that it's to execute the family
Yeah.
of quote like traitors of the
Or kidnap them, take them to their slave camps.
That's possible. Yes. Whatever you're. Yeah. But
Whatever dystopian
the
theme you're going for.
You see the house, you see the dads walk out, and you see like an army of men pretty much marching in on the house, and then we cut, do a smash cut, as I have been informed.
A booty smash.
To the exact drawing of the house, in like kiddish style.
It's a child's drawing.
A child's drawing of the house
With
by the
crayons.
son at school. He's drawing that. The teacher's like, "Oh, what you drawing there?" And he says,
Where's my dad at work?
yeah.
What's your father do, James?
"He's a policeman." Oh, yeah.
And like she
He's a
knows, like,
superhero.
oh, he's part of this like interrogation raid.
It's well
squad.
known that the police are very authoritarian.
Like she probably had someone in her family get like executed or something.
Bad news.
So from the school, which I think is about where we left off. From there we go. We cut back to the aftermath of the raid, where the dad and some of the other detectives and police force are combing the house for evidence. Pulling drawers out, throwing things around. Maybe there's a body on the floor. And the dad at one point, looks around, goes upstairs or wherever to a bedroom. He opens the door of the bedroom. And without hesitating, goes straight to like a little secret cubby, like maybe under the bed or something, and pulls out like a little data sheet. And he scrolls through, and you see like over the shoulder shot of some sorts, or you see the data sheet, and you see that he's been having sort of communications with the people and alarming them that, hey, the raid's coming. They're
He
on
warned
you.
them.
Yes, and he's deleting them from the data sheet. Then he puts it back. He wipes it and then puts it back under the.
So his butt is
bed.
covered.
Yeah, and then he leaves.
Delete.
That.
Delete.
Yeah, delete. Cleared the search history.
Delete.
And then we get another drawing.
Yes. Well, the dad goes. We cut to the dad showing up at home.
Oh yeah.
And
And it's that picture of him at that house.
Yeah. The son comes up and he's like, Dad, I drew this for you at
like,
school.
oh,
He's like,
how
oh,
sweet.
thanks. Yeah. And he picks it up, doesn't really think anything of it, nails it to the fridge. And from there, we go to, the dad's sitting down and he gets a call from his partner who says,
he's not sure if, like, he's just kind of like asking him questions like, hey, what ever happened to this thing? Like,
yeah.
We saw you go back into the house, or like
I think it's more of like what Pearson.
It was like they were going there to find this information on this device. They go there to get the information, and they find out it's deleted from this device. The device is still there, it's what they knew was there. And how did these people delete it before they got there? And pretty much, how did they know that they were coming? Pretty much is what
he's insinuating.
He's trying to pull out. Like, hey, this is kind of sus, bro.
Yeah. Maybe
I saw you vent.
Yeah. Like when he went upstairs, he's making sure no one else is like, this is everyone in the family right here. So there's not anyone else like deleting stuff. So like they couldn't have known.
Yeah. Or he could have warned them beforehand and they deleted it.
Well, I think the scene of him.
That's what he would think. His partner.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Like he's the one that deleted, but like he's insinuating maybe you told him that we were coming. And
he's starting to get on his.
Yeah.
He's starting to get on his tail.
He's like, nah, bro, I'm not. I'm all good. I'm straight with the motherland.
Straight.
Never betray.
Yeah, and so, but he kind of knows that they're on his partner's on his tail. That he wasn't as smooth as he thought. And so now we cut to the child waking up in the middle of the night, and the child is he wakes up and he's in almost like a possessed sort of state. He starts scribbling out a bunch of drawings. Some of them look connected to others, but just random like scenes, right? And
just like that, Pearson.
Yes, thank you. You're actually gonna be cast as little Jamie.
His eyes were in the back of his head.
Yeah, Pearson when he rolls his eyes, both the eyes go like at 45 degrees. So it's like
if you can see that,
pretty scary.
It reminds me a lot of the raving rabbits when they're like,
oh yeah.
But anyhow,
anyways,
anywho, so the kid's drawing a bunch of these pictures, and the dad comes in. He's like, maybe the son, after he's done drawing, comes back to himself and starts like crying and goes to his parents. He's like, and the dad comes, he's like, oh, what's wrong? And the son's like, I had a nightmare. He's like, it's okay. And he walks the son back into the room, and then he sees all the pictures, and he's like, oh, he puts the son back to sleep, takes all the pictures, and then is looking over them, and is kind of alarmed by them because he's like, this is weird. But, it's middle of the night. I'll look at these later. So he puts them on an envelope a folder and puts them in his bag or whatever, and then goes back to sleep. The next morning, we cut to everyone's similar scene to the opener where everyone's about making food. The son, not everyone about. Sorry, the wife is up around in the kitchen. The dad gets up and he's like, "Oh, where's James?" She's like, "Oh, the bus came early. He's already gone." But she's like, "Hey, can I borrow the car?" I said, "I got a thing I gotta go to." And so this dad's like, "Yeah, that's fine. I'll walk." So he's walking to work, and he's walking through an alley, and listening to his favorite music, and all of a sudden, at the end of the alley where the street is, there's a car crash, right in the middle, right, and the dad's like, "Oh my gosh," whatever, alarmed. People, he doesn't rush to it. People seem to be taking care of it. And then he takes a second and he stops. Like maybe he goes to go help, but then he stops for a second. And he looks at the alley and looks at the car crash, and he remembers a picture that his son drew that night of an alley with a car crash at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Broody.
yes,
he's listening to music.
Yes, while he's listening, a key factor his favorite music.
Yes,
nice classical music coming from the butcher shop across the street from the speaker.
And so
Italian,
beautiful. And then he puts stuff in his bag, goes to work, gets to his cubicles, looking back through the pictures, and kind of scrolling through. He sees but he doesn't see the house because that was already put on the fridge. Mm-hmm. But he sees the other drawings and makes a connection with the alley. Then he sees the final picture at the end of the stack, right? And it's a set of some sort of image depicting his wife being murdered in like a red dress, right? And one of the corpses has like a weird, maybe one of
Like
the corpses,
red polka dot looking dress.
and there's a stick figure up there with a gun that's like shot the wife, whatever. And maybe on the stick figure is drawn a little yellow shield, right? And he looks at the shield. And he looks up from his cubicle and notices that the seal of his force, that he's a part of the secret police, whatever, is like a yellow shield with some sort of insignia on it. So he realizes that this police force is somehow, he starts putting weird things together, right? And so he and as soon as he makes a connection, his partner, taps him on the shoulder or whatever. He's like, "Hey, man," and pretty much starts talking more and hinting that he's onto his trail a little bit more interrogation.
I didn't get those TSA reports the other day.
But he's more like trying to dig into the guy more than the first phone call of him just being like questioning, and now he's like kind of trying to get stuff out of the father. And so the father, that scene ends, and we cut to the father driving home from work, gets out of the car in kind of a panic state, goes home, walks in. He looks around the house, goes straight to maybe his office or something, pulls out his gun, loads it, puts it in his back pocket, pulls out a second gun of some sorts, walks over to the front door, looks around for where he would go if he was an inquisitor or if he was inquiring. I keep saying inquisitor. He walks in from the front door and looks around. Notices the coffee table. Is like, okay, the coffee table is where I would. So he goes to the coffee table, tapes a gun to the bottom of the coffee table in the living room. Then he looks around, and then he goes up the stairs to James' rooms, and he starts questioning James, like, "What is this drawing? Why? What is this? What is this from?" He's like, "Oh, it's a dream." He's like, "You have these dreams," and then he's like, "What does this mean? Tell me what this picture." He's like, "I don't know what it means. I just draw the drawings." And while he's kind of interrogating his own kid,
what do the drawings mean?
Yeah, the wife comes in and she's like, he's like, whatever the father's name is. She's like, "So what are you doing? Stop!" And he's like, "Oh, so I'm sorry." And he looks at her and she's wearing a red polka dot dress or whatever was in the drawing. He's like, "What are you wearing?" She's like, "Oh, what do you mean?
Oh
what
my
am I wearing?"
gosh, this is the night.
Yeah, and he makes a connection. This is happening now, and she's like, "We had dinner plans." He's like, and then as soon as she says that, there's a ring at the doorbell.
And I was also thinking, like, instead of him just putting the gun underneath the coffee table, I mean, that's putting him at like a loss because he doesn't know. I think he just have it on him.
Yeah.
And then they talk.
Just, like you just see him pull it out of,
They talk at the coffee table, so we can have the gun underneath, but it's just on him because then I feel like that'd be stupid because he doesn't know exactly if they're gonna go to the coffee table.
He has two guns. That's what I was like. He goes to his office, pulls out his first gun, loads it, puts it in his back pocket, pulls out his secondary gun, and then goes tapes it to the coffee table.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like he has probably his service gun, and then he has his own personal weapon.
All right. Sure,
he's loading up, bro. Put the AK under the.
Well, I also kind of like the idea of him being like an actual detective and being like going to the door and being like, okay, what is our standard routine whenever we interrogate a house? And it's like we go in, we bring them into the living room where they feel comfortable, then we sit them down on the couch, and then we interrogate them nicely.
So he's already set up a spot.
He is like, all right, I'm gonna go right there, and he puts dips on the coffee table. That was what I was thinking.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So a ring at the doorbell.
So ring at the doorbell. He gets panicked on his face. He says, "Stay here," and then he goes downstairs, opens the door, and it's his partner. His partner's like, "Hey, whatever." And he's like, "Do you have a moment to talk? I want to go over some of our our cases together."
Talk about
right?
the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, sure." Oh, he's like, "Me and my wife had dinner plans." He's like, "Oh, but it won't take long." And he's like, "Okay, yeah, come on in."
Invites him in all friendly, like, "Oh, come in."
And he comes in, sits down, and they start chatting, kind of in like it's very tense, They both know that the other person's on them. Yeah. And then in a kind of a Mexican standoff draw, the wife comes downstairs. Maybe she comes downstairs. She's like, "Oh, hey, whatever." The partner, she knows him. She's like, "Can I get you anything?" He's like, "Oh, no, I'm fine." Eleanor, whatever her name is. And he's like, "Oh, okay." And she doesn't really get what's happening. And then the dad is having a moment with the partner. And then the partner maybe gives him a second. And he's like, "Hey, listen, if you just tell me, if you admit it, we both know it'll be way easier for the kids, your kid and your wife. He's like, well, they might get out of it. And he's like, we both know they won't make it out if I admit anything. And he's like, you're right. And then they draw the guns, they shoot each other. He headshots his partner, and then his partner shoots him like somewhere vital, like in the chest. And as he's bleeding out,
that's what you're supposed to do when I shoot you.
Yeah. Thank you. And then
Right in the crotch.
fit 5 crotch shots.
We're just shooting each other in the crotches. It's like coming out from under the table, like all this blood.
Oh my gosh. On his dying breath, the wife comes up, and I was like, in my office, there's a data sheet with a code of list of names. Contact them. They will help you get you out of the state, right? And it's
The treasure. It's under the.
Yeah. It's kind of insane with the group he works with will help get his family out. And then this scene ends by, it whatever shows the exact same scene that the son drew, but this time it's the dad dying instead of the wife.
Yeah.
And then the credits roll.
Dang.
Yeah.
So that is
Concludes.
the full story that we kind of came up with. Sorry if you are just a video watcher that you didn't get to see all the whole thing, but hey, that's what we got. So hopefully next episode we will have 7 cameras instead of 4, just in case the 4 go out. We'll have 3 more.
Yeah, it seems like maybe we just need 1.
Maybe so. Maybe it's just one that every time it dies, we just swap out with the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, listen.
Yeah, if you like this story and you like what we do here,
Yeah,
I'd continue to watch.
please.
That's not a
very
threat.
nice.
That's
Listen.
a promise.
We'd appreciate it. But regardless, thank you for listening to this episode.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
And I had a lot of fun, and we hope you had some sort of enjoyment out of it. And
Yes,
we would love to
muchos
hear
gracias.
your ideas for any future stories, hear your opinion on this story, maybe how you could change it and fix some things.
We got a Reddit
Yeah.
/WritersBoard.
Discuss.
Board is spelled BORED, by the way.
Like you're bored.
Writer's board.
And so honestly, I think with that said, we'll wipe this board, and we'll see you guys next week.
Ciao.
Peace.